Welcome back to the Physics of Faith podcast. I'm Tim.
I'm Tommy.
And today we're going to be reading Daniel chapter 7.
Big shift.
Big shift.
in the book here.
Definitely. So the first 6 chapters, we kind of have these stories. And now what we're going to have is Daniel's recordings of some of his visions.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you're ever back in chapter 1, it mentions that Daniel was made wise and had this ability to understand visions.
Right.
Right?
And dreams.
And dreams.
Visions and,
yeah. Visions and dreams.
He was called to interpret Nebuchadnezzar's dream.
Right.
And not only interpret it, but tell him what it was, because Nebuchadnezzar didn't want him to fake it. He's like, tell me what I dreamt,
right,
and then I'll believe you. And he did.
Yeah. So chapter 7 through 11 are just different visions that he's had.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really stands out to me about this is it says that he understood visions. He didn't.
Yeah.
God told him what they were.
Yeah.
Right? And
right.
And I think that's really important for us to remember as well. So,
sure.
All right.
Yeah, so like you said, these next couple chapters, the timeline kind of ends here, and this happens just like as we talk about, the Bible isn't necessarily one kind of long story told. Like there's overlap, and like this book was written during this time and things. That's kind of what's happening here in the book, is that this actually did happen, but earlier in the year. It's just all written here at the end.
Exactly. All right. So let's jump into it. This is chapter 7. We're going to start with verses 1 through 8. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel saw a dream and visions in his mind as he lay on his bed. And he wrote the dream down and told the following summary of it. Daniel said, I was looking in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea. And 4 great beasts were coming up from the sea, different from one another. The first was like a lion, but had the wings of an eagle. I kept looking until its wings were plucked, and it was lifted up from the ground and set up on 2 feet like a man. A human mind was also given to it. And behold, another beast, a second one, resembling a bear. And it was raised up on one side, and 3 ribs were in its mouth between its teeth. And they said this to it, Arise, devour much meat. After this I kept looking, and behold, another one like a leopard, which had on its back 4 wings of a bird. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I kept looking in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and extremely strong, and it had large iron teeth. It devoured and crushed and trampled down the remainder with its feet, and it was different from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. While I was thinking about the horns, behold, another horn, a little one, came up from among them, and 3 of the previous horns were plucked out before it, and behold, this horn possessed eyes like human eyes, and a mouth uttering great boasts. All right, so.
Clear as mud, right?
Clear as mud, yeah. So verse 1, we see that this all happens while Belshazzar is in charge.
Right.
This is the guy who saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Right. So this is his first year, and Daniel is having this vision while he is in charge.
Right.
And the thing he sees is a great sea, right? And so the sea could be the Mediterranean Sea, right? That's probably what
That's the sea they were closest to. Yep.
That's probably what he's imagining there. Mm-hmm. But there's also a lot of meaning in the sea. It can be used to one of the things that can be used in Jewish literature is to be a picture of the Gentile nations.
Okay.
Which is interesting. So we see that in Psalm 74:13, Psalm 89:9, and Isaiah 57:20. So there are some meanings here within these words that are beyond just what we're seeing, right?
Yeah.
Which is why it's a vision.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's 4 winds of heaven, which could be a reference to a spiritual movement and motives. Now, could be the will of heaven. It could also be demonic, but I think in this instance, if we look at it as a whole as what Daniel is talking about, I really think the 4 winds of heaven has got to be talking about God's will.
Yeah.
Right? Because what we keep finding is God saying, I establish kingdoms. I tell them when their time is done.
Right.
Because my kingdom is the kingdom.
He puts the rulers in place.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, there are 4 distinct beasts that are like none we've ever seen. However, I think if you've read chapter 2, you could see some similarities.
Yeah, there are definitely some parallels and some similarities in there for sure.
Right. So the first one is we have the eagle and the lion, right? Now the eagle, the lion, these are kingly beasts of greatness, right? These are
Right.
like regal, right?
Yeah,
And
the
if,
eagle is kind of the lion of the sky in a way,
Right,
almost.
yeah.
And the lion is the
yeah. And if you think about that in context of Nebuchadnezzar's dream from chapter 2,
yeah,
you had the golden head of the statue, right?
right,
The eagle lion is Babylon.
yeah,
This is the kingdom of Babylon, right? Then you have the bear. Now, this bear, gosh, I didn't find anything about the ribs, so maybe somebody can figure something
Yeah.
out with that. But,
You know what? It could be we're not supposed to know.
right. But it is the second one, right? And
Yeah.
so obviously, this is going to represent the silver of the Medo-Persians,
Yeah.
right? So I've heard this, I read this as well, that the bear was thought to lumber. And
Yeah.
now we know bears are actually really fast,
Yeah.
but they don't look like they're necessarily moving fast.
Yeah, well, and when you think about it, it talks about its teeth that are iron, right?
Oh, that's the great beast.
That's
later.
great. Okay, yeah. But you do still think that a bear, but no, it's still known for its teeth that crush, that have strong teeth that eat and crush, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so this is meant to be the Medo-Persians.
Yeah.
Like however the description goes, this is it, right? And then you have this leopard beast, right? And this leopard beast, like each of these beasts, the bear is probably the most normal, right? You got an eagle mixed with a lion that becomes
that's a griffin, right?
yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah. But then it stands up like a man and gets
Yeah.
the mind of a man,
Right.
which could be a reference to Nebuchadnezzar regaining his mind, you know. But you have then this leopard, and this leopard, if I think he has what, like 4 heads,
Four wings
4 wings,
and four
4
heads,
heads,
and given authority to rule.
right?
Yeah.
Now the 4 and the 4, it's going to make sense, I think, later with some of these visions. But this leopard is the bronze piece, and this is Greece.
Yeah.
And so remember that 4 when we talk about Greece, because I think
Yeah.
that is important. And then you get the terrible beast, right? And
Yeah.
it has iron teeth. The iron that we recall from Nebuchadnezzar's dream
Yeah.
is Rome,
Sure.
right? So the thing about this is we're getting something like unique, something we've never seen, something that utterly crushes. Rome does that.
Yeah.
But then there's something else that comes out of that, right? You've got
Yeah.
these 10 horns
Right.
that he clearly is confused about because he's thinking about it. And as he's thinking about the 10 horns, you've got the extra horn that comes up, right?
Yeah.
Well, think about this. 10 horns, 10 toes.
Right.
On your statue, you've got those later kingdoms that are iron and clay,
Yeah.
right? This kind of lines up, right? So this makes you feel, so if the giant beast with its iron teeth is Rome,
Right.
the horns are alluding to the end times.
Yeah.
Well, this is alluding to the end of these current kingdoms.
Right.
Right. If that
Yep.
makes sense. So this additional horn that has human eyes and a mouth uttering great boasts, this could be the Antichrist.
Right.
But one of the things that we're going to notice as we go through all of these visions, God doesn't really do one thing. Like most of the things that he does, he showcases over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like there are different types of these. So there's not an Antichrist. There is an Antichrist.
Yeah.
But there's a spirit of the Antichrist that showcases this is what it looks like
Yeah.
to be an Antichrist. In the same sense, you think about Jesus. Jesus is the second Adam, right?
Right.
So like there's these different types and there's these different covenants that inform what his current covenant looks like.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like some of these things some of this vision is about now
Yeah.
and some of this vision is about later,
Right.
but they really are very similar.
Well, yeah, and I think the other thing about that is that I'm sure that there was purpose in, and it's easy for us now to look back on it because we can look at the first part of these things, they came true.
Yeah.
So if these 3 things came true, I'd probably imagine that this fourth thing is going to be right too.
Right.
You know.
The only problem is like we have the hindsight to understand what those 4 things, what it was that happened, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's still kind of tough to picture what that's going to be.
Yeah.
But we know that there's going to be some similarity.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have to be careful about that, though.
Yeah. Well, and I will probably say this a lot over these next couple chapters. If God wanted us to know, he would have made it a little more clear. Even Jesus himself doesn't know when he's returning,
Yeah.
And so I think that there is definitely some mystery that we need to have the faith that,
that God knows what he's doing.
God knows what he's doing. Yeah.
And that's kind of the point of Daniel.
We don't have to know we know the end of the story, but we don't know the end of the story.
Right.
We have to trust and I know that God is going to protect me and to, provide for me and all of those things. I don't know what the next 10 years hold, but I know that God is going to protect me and, all of those things.
He's gonna enact his plan, and it's gonna be the best thing
Right.
that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Whether we feel like it or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that we keep seeing. God is the King of Kings. God is in charge. God is on the throne. We don't need to know,
Yeah.
right? The fact that there's mystery, it alludes to, but he knows.
Yeah.
Trust him because he knows, right?
And again, yeah, we can have the faith that because, and we'll see this later on. We know how the story ends basically, and as followers of Christ, it ends well for us, and so we can have the faith that is going to be true because all of these other things that have been prophesied, that were prophesied, did come true, and I can't remember the number, but there's dozens of prophecies in the Bible that have already come true, and there's still a ton more that we haven't reached yet.
Sure.
But we can be sure that they will at some point. When exactly, exact details we don't know, but
Yeah.
we don't need to probably.
Probably not. All right. Well, let's continue. Let's look at verses 9 through 12. All right. So in verse 9, he says, I kept looking until the thrones were set up, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was ablaze with flames. Its wheels were a burning fire. A river of fire was flowing and coming out from before him. Thousands upon thousands were serving him, and myriads upon myriads were standing before him. The court convened, and the books were opened. Then I kept looking because of the sound of the boastful words which the horn was speaking. I kept looking until the beast was killed, and its body was destroyed and given to the burning fire. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but an extension of life was granted to them for an appointed period of time. Wow. Okay. So, I love the imagery of this, but man, it can feel a little confusing, right?
Yeah.
So he talks about the Ancient of Days takes his seat, right? This is God the Father. The Ancient of Days is God the Father. He establishes and he sets up thrones, right? So they see that he's setting up these thrones. So there are a couple ways to look at that. He may be setting up the thrones for these kingdoms, right? He's establishing those kingdoms. It could also be a nod to Revelation 4, verse 4, which shows the 24 elders who represent the church, all seated in 24 thrones. Now, at this point, these thrones would be empty because the church is not yet a concept that's been revealed to Daniel.
Yeah.
The church is a further revelation, right?
Right. This is thousands of years before that still.
Right. So God, he sits on this fiery throne. It's got fiery wheels, and there's a river of fire coming from it, right? This picture is a picture of judgment, right? This is God is seated on his throne making judgment. And that's that's partly why there's all this fire there. And it says that court is convened, right?
Yeah.
And the books are opened, right?
Yeah.
This is a proceeding.
He is the judge here in this situation, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Now there's countless before him. Thousands upon thousands are serving him, right? Myriads upon myriads are just standing before him. So he's got all these people here and he's making his judgments. And the books that are opened, if we think about it, there's multiple books that are mentioned throughout Scripture.
Yeah.
So Psalm 69:28 says it talks about the book of the living. Malachi 3:16 talks about the book of remembrance. Philippians 4:3, Revelation 3:5, 13:8, 17:8, 20:12, 21:27, and 22:19 all talk about the book of life.
Yeah.
Right? So these books are opened, right? And we see then the beast is defeated, right? And he's thrown into the fire. And what we see too is this boastful horn is defeated as a part of that as well. And this boastful horn shares the traits of the Antichrist in Revelation, right?
Right.
So we're seeing here, again, God is setting up and establishing kingdoms, ending kingdoms then, and he's doing it in the future once and for all.
Right.
Right. Now, he then gives an extension of life to the other beasts for an appointed period of time.
Yeah.
But they're
shows a little bit of grace here.
right. But ultimately, their dominion was taken away.
Yeah.
Right. And
they were stripped of authority, but allowed to live for a period of time, as it says.
Exactly. Yeah. And so this is, their dominion was taken away, but extension of life. So there's I think I might be a little ahead of myself here, but like what we're going to see is that there's the Son of Man, who's going to take that dominion,
right?
Who's going to take all dominion, right? And we see that it's going to be very strong in here. He's about to be presented in the next verses here. And you know what? I think I stopped early.
Yeah.
I stopped at 12.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
So,
we haven't read 13
Okay,
yet.
so let me read 13 and 14 here. I kept looking in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, one like a son of man was coming, and he came up to the Ancient of Days and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion, honor, and a kingdom, so that all the peoples, nations, and populations of all languages might serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which will not pass away, and his kingdom is one which will not be destroyed. All right, so here's this picture of the Son of Man coming in on the clouds, and he comes before God the Father, and all dominion is given to him. Right? This is Jesus, right? Jesus refers to himself as the Son of Man over 80 times in the Gospels.
Yeah.
Right? And people say that he didn't say he was divine. Right? And we know this, right? Because this is why they end up crucifying him.
Right.
When they take him and they take him before like the Sanhedrin or whatever the Pharisees and Sadducees were, and they take him before that, and they're like, who are you? Do you think you're the Christ? And he says, you will see me like the Son of Man seated on, on the clouds. He's referencing this verse.
Yeah.
And they take that to mean that he is divine.
Yeah.
Or claims to be.
Yeah.
And they say it's blasphemy.
Right.
All right.
And because, and what was, when he was crucified and they put a sign above him, this is before, what said?
The King of the Jews.
King of the Jews, that's what it said.
Yeah. Because the idea was that the Messiah would be this king.
Right.
This king and this conqueror and all this. But it's wild how they understood the divine connection.
Yeah.
But at the same time, didn't think of him in divine principles.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, to claim to be the Messiah for him was to claim to be one with God.
Yeah.
But they only would accept him as that if he would do things physically.
Yeah.
If he would establish a physical kingdom.
Right.
And not a spiritual one.
Go along with what they expected.
Yes.
not what he was. This is what I want you to do to prove this to me, not being proven by what he's already done and said. By his own.
Exactly. All right, so let's take a look at verses 15 through 18. As for me, Daniel, my spirit was distressed within me, and the visions in my mind kept alarming me. I approached one of those who were standing by and began requesting of him the exact meaning of all this. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of these things. These great beasts, which are 4 in number, are 4 kings who will arise from the earth. But the saints of the highest one will receive the kingdom and take possession of the kingdom forever, for all ages to come. All right, I'm going to stop there. Let's address this real quick. So this dream has distressed Daniel, right?
No kidding.
Yeah. It reminds me too, Nebuchadnezzar was also distressed by his dream about the statue.
Yeah.
Right? Like seeing what God has, seeing these types of things, seeing what God is doing in the spirit
Yeah.
has got to be jarring.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, because think about what's being said here. A beast with 4 heads and 4 wings, and a lion has wings like an eagle, and it's we can't even, I don't even think we can imagine it. Like if you could take the greatest artist in the world and they couldn't paint it right still.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting too. If you take Nebuchadnezzar's dream about the statue, what he sees is a very physical thing. It's something that man can understand.
We've seen a statue before, yeah.
We know what this statue is.
And we've seen, it's made of iron and gold. These are things that we know of and we've seen.
It's about wealth and utility and all these things that make up what men are about.
Right.
Right. And then you have Daniel's dream, and this is from God's
weird
perspective.
Stuff. Yeah.
This is how God sees it. This is how the spirits behind all of these things look and are moving. Right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild. And one of the things that I think is kind of funny is he's in his vision.
Yeah.
So like
he walks up and that was the thing that I found interesting too.
Yeah.
Like he can make decisions and is doing things.
he just walks up to somebody that's there.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's going on?
So there's other people. Yeah. That's the other thing that I find interesting too. Like, okay, so
there's a myriad
this
of
is
myriad.
a vision that Daniel is seeing. But I guess there's other people around watching the same thing, or they,
Well, I think it's the people in the vision.
in the vision,
Yeah,
sure.
right? Because there's all these people before the throne. So there's people serving God. There's people there
Worshiping
before God.
Yeah.
So he just approaches somebody and he's like,
Hey, what's going on?
what is this? And they're like, look, there's 4 kingdoms. In the end, the saints of God will receive the kingdom and take possession forever. Right? So then Daniel wants to know more. So let's read 19 through 22. Then I desired to know the exact meaning of the 4th beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with its teeth of iron and its claws of bronze, and which devoured, crushed, and trampled down the remainder with its feet, and the meaning of the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn which came up, and before which 3 of the horns fell, namely that horn which had eyes and a mouth uttering great boasts, and which was larger in appearance than its associates. I kept looking, and that horn was waging war with the saints and prevailing against them, until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was passed in favor of the saints of the highest one, and the time arrived when the saints took possession of the kingdom. Okay, so he wants to focus on this last beast in the horns.
Yeah.
And he sees this one horn, this boastful one. This is the Antichrist, and it's waging war against the saints, and it's winning.
Yeah.
Right? And eventually, the Ancient of Days passes judgment in favor of the saints, and we see the fallout thereof. Right? So here's something that's really interesting. As we get through some of these visions, again, we're going to see another character that fits this description that is already fulfilled.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's, again, God sets this up. He shows you what it looks like, and he points to that and says, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to see a little bit more of that here as we go. But let's wrap this chapter up. We're going to do verses 23 all the way to 28. This is what he said. The 4th beast will be a 4th kingdom on the earth, which will be different from all the other kingdoms, and it will devour the whole earth and trample it down and crush it. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings will arise, and another will arise after them, and he will be different from the previous ones and will humble 3 of the kings. And he will speak against the Most High and wear down the saints of the Highest One, and he will intend to make alterations in times and in law, and they will be handed over to him for a time, times, and half a time. But the court will convene for judgment, and his dominion will be taken away, annihilated and destroyed forever. Then the sovereignty, the dominion, and the greatness of all the kingdoms under the whole heaven will be given to the people of the saints of the Highest One. His kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all the empires will serve him and obey him. At this point, the revelation ended. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts were greatly alarming me, and my face became pale. but I kept this matter to myself. All right. So when we look at this description of the last beast, the fourth beast really does fit the Roman Empire, right?
Yeah.
But the 10 horns does not fit into Roman history,
Yeah.
right? This is something different. So as if they are literal kings, if we're going to take this to be a literal translation,
Yeah.
then these are people who are yet to come,
Yeah.
right? Or in the process of coming, depending on where we are in this timeline, right?
Yeah.
Now, the Antichrist is blasphemous, and he comes for the saints. That's kind of
Right.
what they're describing here.
Mm-hmm.
And those saints are actually going to be delivered into his hand for what seems to be 3.5 years, right? As we talk about time, times, and half a time. So if a time is a year, times is 2 years, and a half is a half a year. That's 3.5 years.
Right.
Right. And so he also brings up some signs to look for, like he'll try to change the laws and the times. He'll humble these 3 other kings, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be these things that will kind of parallel.
You know, when we were reading this, and I didn't catch this the first time, when in the earlier in the chapter with the bear with the 3 ribs in his mouth.
Yeah.
Is that is that the same 3 kingdoms that will be subdued?
Well, it's tough because the bear is the Medo-Persians, right?
Right. Yeah. I guess that is a different kingdom then.
Right. But there's like,
Yeah, I guess it is.
but Babylon had 3 kings.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
If you think about it, like to a degree. So yeah, I don't know, man. The ribs are a mystery to me. I'm going to look that up. Although I do want some barbecue. All right. So in judgment, the dominion will be taken away and it will be given to Jesus. Right. So something about this that I like. So as we see this coming, he says, okay, look, this evil king's going to come.
Right.
He's going to humble these other ones. He's going to kind of take control. He's going to persecute and come after the people of God. They're going to be kind of turned over to him for a time.
Yeah.
But at the end of that, God will judge him and it will be over. Right?
Yeah.
This is something that I think about. Like, we often consider God as being in a battle against evil, right?
Yeah.
But that's just not accurate.
Right.
Like, this is a straight up courtroom.
Yeah.
God's not fighting evil. He's judging it.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. He doesn't. You don't have the authority to fight,
Right.
because there's no. You fight somebody that you're kind of on equal playing fields, right?
Yeah.
You can't. No one is on an equal playing field as God.
Right.
You know, and it's like, yeah. No, I think you're in the right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So I think that's something to consider. I think it's pretty powerful. So there is no fighting the judge of all things. And then this chapter ends with Daniel writing this down and basically saying,
This freaked me out.
yeah, I'm going to keep this to me. This is going to be one of my things.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this away. So one of the things we're going to see as we continue, there's a lot more vagary in this one.
Yeah.
But as we go through some of his additional visions, more and more and more becomes clear.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more things kind of get highlighted or magnified onto,
Right.
if that makes sense.
For sure.
All right. Anything we're missing?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I hope that you guys out there are enjoying this. Like, Daniel's really interesting. It's also very challenging. Go find a good commentary. Go dig into this. There's some other good podcasts out there that cover some of this stuff. Just when you're reading this, understand that there might be different interpretations of some of these visions. Like, there are some denominational things about,
Yeah.
like, very eschatological things about whether or not some of these things are fulfilled, whether or not they're literal or they're spiritual.
Right.
I think we're seeing spiritual representations of literal things, though.
Yeah.
And that's where I stand on that.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right. We'll come back with chapter 8, and we will see you all then.